right, hey you guys, I'm Audra Morgan, Eye of the Storm. I am here at the San Diego Superior Courthouse. This morning we were here at 8:15 a.m. up on the 15th floor to listen to the hearing regarding Andrea Ebbing and the brutal assault that took place with San Diego PD officer Anthony Warner, badge number 1665. He, on March 21st, got a call to go down to the Linda Vista skate park. In fact, the SDB PD had gotten a call to go up to the rec center due to a burglar alarm. There was a couple of dozen officers that were deployed and dispatched to that location. However, there were some other calls or incident reports that were being made at the Linda Vista skate park. Now, Andrea Ebbing was there. She was having conversations with some juveniles as well as different adults that were just enjoying the park that day. And when the officer had come, he wasn't sure. He was saying whether it was a 5150, which is a mental health call, or an 11550, which is an intoxicated individual call. At no point in time did he ever do any kind of an assessment to determine whether or not it was a 5150 or an 11550. In fact, at no point in time did he ever go through the full procedure of arresting somebody, making sure that they know that they are going to be under arrest, that if you do touch them, that there is that you are following your protocol. Again, at no point did he do that. He used excessive force. And when you don't have any reason to detain anybody, any kind of resistance or, just trying to protect yourself is not against the law. So anything that happens outside an unlawful arrest is kind of fair game. And at no point in time did Anthony Warner let Andrea Ebbing know that she was being detained. In fact, he just started to grab her until he wound up throwing her and tossing her into the cement. And then slamming her head into the cement several times, as well as deploying his OC spray, the pepper spray that they are issued as a police officer. Now, they're supposed to follow a protocol. If there's a 5150, they're supposed to, assess the situation. Even if it is an 11550 and somebody's intoxicated, you're going to need to go through the protocol to ensure that that is the arrest or the detainment that you are making. However, he never did that. And what did transpire was that, in this hearing, it almost seemed like it was a trial that was going against Andrea and it was set up for failure. But if you understand, the district attorney, Stephan, and her RICO enterprise is being exposed through the things that Andrea Ebbing is doing. In fact, her ex, Matt Bruin, is very good friends with her. They actually have business together. Stephan gets kickbacks for putting people into the diversion programs that Andrea Ebbing's ex, through Prop 36, is engaged in. And, when you are kind of pushing up against that house of cards, they really don't like it. So it's interesting because Aaron H. Katz was the judge, the presiding judge over this hearing this morning. And the interesting thing about that is that he has also presided over hearings and or trials or situations that Andrea Ebbing and Matt Bruin are engaged in. And so it is a conflict of interest for this judge to be presiding over this case as well. And the way that they were trying to paint the picture is that Andrea Ebbing was the predator, that she was, engaging with children inappropriately, which she was just telling her experience about being in Las Colinas, which had just happened days prior. She had just been released, had just experienced some extremely egregious encounters with women in there where they were just sharing their stories about losing their children and the different things that they had to go through, the trauma that they were enduring by just being in the jail. And again, the babies that they've lost, the things that they've had to endure, being strapped to beds and different things, being, denied medications. We already know that the San Diego Sheriff's Department and the jails have been very negligent in their handling of detainees and, you know, their medical needs and whatnot. And there's a whole other side of that I think that people aren't really understanding, that with this whole Prop 36, what I believe, and this is just my assessment from having been witnessing the things that I have, is that Prop 36, they are creating the individuals that they need to participate into this program. So if you need somebody to, well, if you need to fill a roster, it's kind of like the homeless. You don't ever want to get rid of the homeless because it's a business. And the more homeless you have, the more money that comes in, and you guys can racketeer with it. And so I feel like it's the same thing with Prop 36. In order for them to fulfill the needs, you know, they have to create the need in order to fill their pockets with the benefits that come from providing the services that they are for Prop 36. The County of San Diego has talked about for years about needing 19,500 behavioral health employees, which the County of San Diego only has 19,000 employees. For them to double the amount of employees and add 500 to that, claiming that there is a behavioral health need, it is because they knew Prop 36 was coming down the pike, and they knew that they would need to be able to provide this service. But again, if you want the money to keep flowing in for all of these behavioral health, which they have enmeshed with mental health, then you're going to have to also create some of these participants or victims. And I believe that's what they are doing. You know, Andrea Ebbing should not have been assaulted by this officer. He should have let her know that she was under arrest if he wanted her to listen to his commands. They kept acting as though she was having a psychotic episode, when in fact she was saying things that were actually really happening at Las Colinas, and that she was so just upset about, and wanted people to know that we really need to be exercising our rights. Do not be afraid to do it, because they want us to be afraid. In fact, I believe what they're trying to do is break Andrea Ebbing so that, you know, she potentially would need to be used or put into the Prop 36 whole playground that they have going on, which again involves her ex, who has abducted her own children after, you know, many times trying to kill her. It is a very sad thing to see, because they put up all of these gatekeepers in the way of being able to kind of get justice. You know, they have the judge in place who's already, you know, got a conflict of interest by working with her ex, and these prior hearings and or trials or just court proceedings that have taken place. And then now to, you know, have the district attorney, which they're in there, it's just another puppet that is in there. But then you have the public defender, who is also under the district attorney. So it is a very incestuous judicial system, and there is no justice, but there are gatekeepers that are set up in place so that you can't get justice, so that no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody in line that is going to be able to stop that from happening. And you know, just the way they were portraying that she had a psychotic episode is very disturbing, because again, I'm seeing that this could go down the path of putting her into a Prop 36 type of participant. But the even more sad thing is that, you know, this officer is claiming that his hand was bitten. He's about 6'3", 250 pounds. Andrea Ebbing is maybe, you know, 5'4", 5'5", you know, 130 pounds maybe. And this man could, and obviously through the video, you could see that he was tossing her body around. Yet he was claiming that she was so strong that he had no choice but to use excessive force. And even though, despite her saying that she's had a brain aneurysm, that she is very concerned for her health, that he was, you know, warranted in macing her in the face and in the eyes. That, you know, because he was injured in his hand, claiming that he was bitten, which the marks that they showed in the picture were so juvenile. It was very, very sad. There was like a dot and then maybe a little line, which you couldn't tell whether or not those were teeth, whether or not during their confrontation he had some kind of abrasion that happened on his hand. But he is claiming to be the victim. He is claiming that, you know, he's had to have 3 weeks off of work, that they've put him on paid leave, basically to go sit at a desk, not go on the streets or on patrol. but to basically sit there and go through physical therapy. They were even claiming to go as far as talking about him needing an MRI. But that, you know, poor him, he's the victim, and he shouldn't have to put up with that kind of stuff when he is trying to do his job. And it is so inverted when you can see a woman having her head smashed into the cement by a man who's just wearing a costume, has a police uniform on, right, and a badge. And so if anybody comes up to you and just basically says, without any just cause, to, like, I don't know, get on the ground, put your hands behind your back, that if you just don't capitulate, that they have every right to beat the shit out of you. And it is so important that we see this, and I feel like I'm just going on in this video, but there's so many things to cover, because we have to see that this world is inverted. We have to see that everything that happens in this building is not justice. It is injustice. And they sit there and they put things, you know, on insignia and claiming that, you know, you have your rights. We've informed them of their constitutional rights and all of these things. And it's like, when are those actually going to be exercised? When are we going to actually be able to speak freely? Because they were also, this judge was also, Aaron Katz was also saying that, you know, the language that she was using in front of these children, because they were saying they could be potentially as young as 4 and all the way up to 18, that it was so egregious, the language that she was using, but never mentioned the fact that this man, this officer, this is somebody who should be a, you know, somebody that is showing an example to the children, that it didn't matter that he beat the crap out of a woman right in front of them. But it was her language that was so disturbing. And it was that he, you know, had this injury on his hand that was so egregious that we have to make sure that this is a felony. She's already facing 60 to 90 days in jail from a $100,000 warrant that was put out on her for having brain surgery, mind you, because she had a ruptured aneurysm and had to have 2 more coils put into her brain. So because she couldn't show up to her court case, they put a warrant out for her arrest, and 8 days that she spent 8 days in Las Colinas for that, prior to this assault. Experiencing things that most people don't even want to talk about. That's why it gets brushed under the rug, is because the things that happen in these jails is so egregious. Nobody should die. Nobody should be denied medical care. You know, but these systems are set up in place to do exactly what they're doing. And I believe that they're trying to break Andrea Ebbing. And so this is why it is so important for us to come and support her now more than ever. Because what the district attorney and her RICO enterprise are trying to do is break this woman so bad that they can make it seem like she's psychotic, that she deserved to be beaten to a pulp, intentionally, drugged, and raped. Because it continued as she went into, they put her in a burrito, is what it basically is, and it's called a wrap. And so they, from your torso down to your legs, you're wrapped up in a device to keep you from kicking. And sure, you know, granted, if there's that happening, but she was at no point violent with this man. And he just went from 1 to 60 in no time flat. And they're trained to de-escalate. They're trained to, you know, follow a protocol. And if we can't even trust our own peace officers, right, to do that, then how can we trust that this system is really out to help us? Because I was assaulted by the sheriff at the San Diego County Board of Supervisors for speaking at the meeting. Okay, it's happened several times. And then I was assaulted for defending somebody. And it's very sad to see that it's like nobody cared about that. You know, it's like if you mark and check certain boxes, then it will matter. If you're an undocumented human being and ICE comes up and does that to you, they will be up in arms about it and say that should not happen. But I feel like this happens to Americans on a massive level, and women, men, children for that matter. And it just gets brushed under the rug. So that's why it's important to talk about these things, and it's important to make sure that we continue to expose this, because Andrea Ebbing has been silenced from even saying Matt Bruin's name. So I'm going to continue to say his name, because this is the reason why all of this is happening. And it is absolutely appalling that this kind of stuff can take place, that they can torment people. And this happens through all of the courts. I mean, this is happening in family court. This is happening in juvenile court, criminal court, civil court. They tell us that we have our rights. Where are they? Why is it that you get punished for exercising those rights? So it has only happened because the people have let this happen. And it is time for us to course correct and turn away from it. Because until we do, there is going to be no justice. And we'll continue to be on this hamster wheel to nowhere. So I will continue to keep you guys abreast of what's happening. There's going to be a trial coming up next month, and a couple of hearings in the interim. So I will keep you posted, and I just encourage you guys to continue to support us, share this story, and continue to stand up and assert your rights. The more that we let them walk all over us, we're not going to have, I'm not even going to be able to do this, because they're going to silence me. In fact, they took down my TikTok just from sharing this story. So I don't know what's going to come of it, but for me, it's more important to expose the truth and walk in the light and know that if this is Satan's playground, I'm not going to conform to it. I'm going to stand against it, and I'm going to be the light that shines bright, that makes the darkness tremble. So I encourage you guys to join us, and just stay tuned and stay vigilant, and understand that humanity is under attack. And I know it sounds like whatever, but when you know it, you know it. And when you see it, you can't unsee it. And I know that it's very difficult to allow your reality to shatter, because that's what has to happen in order for you to turn away from this system that seemingly was meant for us. And in that aspect, I guess it is, because it's meant to destroy us. So until we see that and we go, we're not going to participate anymore, because they need us to participate. And the more we do, the more this will continue. But when we decide that enough is enough, that's when all of this is going to stop. But it's up to us, and it's up to you to be willing to do it. And it's not easy, because things like this happen. Like Andrea is being attacked for exposing the truth. I've been attacked for exposing the truth. I know many who have. Many have died from it. But for me, our future is important. And I would rather not conform and capitulate and surrender to this nefarious agenda that's happening worldwide. I mean, they want a new world order, and I'm going off right now. But you know what? The truth is the truth, and it's time that we all accept it, because otherwise we're going to go down this same path over and over again. And I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of people suffering. And the only way to stop it is for us to course correct, not for you to vote, not for you to, go to some other person and be like, you need to change. We have to be the change that we want to see. And until we're willing to do that, nothing is going to change around us. So I encourage you guys to, again, stay vigilant, and let's keep going and be the change that you want to see, because we can do it. We're powerful, and that's why they want to tame us and keep us docile, because they're so threatened by how powerful we are. So once you know whose you are, where you came from, and where you belong, which is not here in this place, and all the people that want to belong and conform here, let them have it, because they're destroying it. And justly so, because it's a reflection of them. It should be a reflection of the goodness and light, and it's not. And so it can be, and we can make it that way. So I encourage you guys to join me in that, and let's change the trajectory of things, you guys. But anyway, I wanted to give you an update now that I went on a tangent. But please stay tuned for more updates. I will continue to keep you abreast of what's happening here in San Diego and with the Andrea Ebbing case. So please say your prayers, and just keep her in your prayers. It's a very difficult thing to be, targeted like this. It's not easy. And again, they want to break you. And so please pray for strength, and, and just encourage you guys to share this message so that it gets out further. But, God bless you guys. I'm Audra Morgan. I'm the Storm. It's never a dull moment in San Diego.